PhD, and you're listening to the TyePod. Well, hi, everybody. It's another episode of the TyePod, and I'm joined today by Sarah Todd Hammer. Excited to get into your journey with disability advocacy and, yeah, learn about your story and kind of go back and forth. I know we have a lot of things we probably relate on and have in common, so appreciate you joining.
Yes, thanks for having me, Ty. I'm excited to be here.
Definitely. Starting out, like kind of an icebreaker question, I guess. Is there a song that kind of you feel like is symbolic of your life or one that you're just really into right now? Something that comes to mind?
Ooh, oh my gosh. I've been getting more into music lately. I've been trying to listen to it at night before I do my
Mm-hmm.
before I go to bed while I do my skincare
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I don't like music while I work. I need silence. So I've been trying to incorporate it more into my life. And I've been listening to a ton of um 5 Seconds of Summer, if you know
Okay.
them, and Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh yeah.
Love
Yeah.
her. But a specific song comes to mind. Let's see. Have I been listening to? Okay, well, it's not either of them. Those have been
Mhm.
like my big ones to jam to recently, but I
Yeah.
also love Louis Tomlinson from One Direction. And he has
Okay.
this really good song I've been listening to a lot. It's not new, but it's called Change, and it's about like getting older and feeling like you feel the same inside, like you're the same person, but everything else around you is changing, like
Mhm.
people from your hometown are moving away or growing older, things like that. And I feel like that's been resonating with me at age 23. Like I kind
Yeah.
of feel like that. Like I still feel like a kid
Right.
type of
Right. No,
thing.
that's definitely kind of one of those phases where, changes start happening quite a bit, it seems
Yes.
like. So
Love
yeah,
that
no, I
question.
appreciate that. As far as like lyrics and things like that, have you been into that when you were younger, would you say, or is that something you feel like you're getting a little more into now as you're getting older?
I have always loved music. Honestly, it's kind of a fun story. When I became disabled, I was 8 years old, and then um, that was in 2010, and One Direction were becoming a big thing back then.
Mhm.
And I got really into them with my friends, like all the little girls did back then.
Yeah.
And that was actually a really big part of my life. Like that's how I grew to love music was through them. And
Mhm.
it made me like really happy. And I felt like found like a lot of like I just resonated with lyrics from certain songs and certain
Yeah.
artists, and that became special to me. And in 2014, I actually had to make a wish and I wished to meet One Direction. So
Oh,
that
you did?
was
Nice.
really cool. So I got to do that. So
So you actually
music's
you
a
got
big
to
part of my life.
experience all of that with Make-A-Wish and go meet them
Yeah.
and everything. Wow, that's a cool experience.
It was amazing.
I've heard a few different stories of Make-A-Wish now, and it seems like a really cool program. So
Yes,
yeah.
I was very happy it worked out. It was just like perfect timing. I feel like that my disability happened when I was little and then I had like One Direction to kind of like just have fun with
Help you
them with my
through.
friends, like it
Yeah.
made me feel like a normal kid. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool how music's kind of a foundational thing like that, I feel like, because
Yes.
for me, like my disability progression kind of I don't know, I feel like I use music as kind of a therapy getting through. And so a
Mhm.
lot of like the main artists that I used to, hear growing up and everything, I think that really influences, things later
It
on too, it seems
does.
like. Yeah.
Yes, like
Yeah.
shape how you think about things. It can be
Yeah.
really impactful and healing, like you said, like it is kind of like its own therapy
Yeah, it
in
is.
a
You
way.
kind of get lost
Yeah.
in, lost in the song a little bit too. So that's
Yes.
really cool. As far as your disability, I was gonna see if you could just give some highlights of kind of how it happened and kind of how, you've gone through everything since. And
Mhm.
yeah, then we can go from there a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm 23 now and became disabled when I was 8, so I wasn't born with a disability.
Mhm.
I was in ballet class. It's not related to ballet at all. I just happened to
Mhm.
be in ballet. And I all of a sudden got a really bad head and neck ache during class.
Mhm.
And it was so bad to the point that my mom was going to take me home. So left the dance studio, like was sitting on the bench outside before we left to like just adjust my tights, adjust my outfit before we left.
Mhm.
And as I did that, my arms and hands just stopped working.
Mhm. Okay.
And so then obviously our plan changed. We weren't going to go home at that point. Um, so I said to my mom, I was like, I can't move my arms. And she rushed me to an urgent care because we were far away from a hospital and got there about 10 minutes later. By the time we got there, got out of the car, I couldn't walk anymore, even though I could still move my legs. So she picked me up, carried me in. They immediately like ran an IV and were
Mhm.
preparing to send me to the hospital by a helicopter. I get to the hospital, was there for 6 hours, until like 11 p.m.
Mhm.
or so, and didn't receive any treatment except they gave me Motrin for my head and neck pain.
Okay.
And the doctor kept insisting nothing was wrong. My mom was arguing with him. My dad had then driven over too.
Mhm.
They were asking him to do certain tests, asking him if I had, a stroke or brain tumor or whatever. And he wasn't doing anything. And he eventually told them if I'm not better in the morning to just bring me back.
Whoa, okay.
So I was
That's
basically kicked out of the hospital.
that
Uh,
doesn't seem helpful.
right. So kicked out of the hospital, sent home. My mom slept with me that night. I doubt she actually slept. I
Probably.
slept. But her plan was to take me to my pediatrician, who we knew super well, was there the day I was born. She thought I had a brain tumor.
Mhm.
But when I woke up, I thought I was going to be better because I heard the doctor say, like, if she's not better in the morning, bring her back. So to me, that read, oh, like he thinks I'll probably be okay.
Mhm.
So I woke up thinking everything would be okay, but then I couldn't move my legs either. So I was paralyzed from the neck down.
Okay.
So obviously, we then didn't go to the pediatrician. My mom
Mhm.
called the ambulance, went by ambulance back to the hospital, and thankfully saw a different doctor that morning, had an MRI done. I was diagnosed with transverse myelitis at the time because they saw I had spinal cord damage from C2 to T1.
Any idea, like, had there been something to cause that, or it just like randomly
That's one of
showed
those
up?
things that can just happen.
Uh-huh.
Um, I've since been re-diagnosed 8 years later with acute flaccid myelitis or
Mhm.
AFM. So transverse myelitis is an autoimmune condition. AFM is not.
Okay.
They're both neurological, but AFM is caused by a virus attacking the spinal cord, and it can be like a cold virus. Like most often, the kids, it's usually kids who get it, and
Hmm.
they're usually sick first, and then this happens. I
Hmm.
didn't have any symptoms of being sick. So I probably had like an asymptomatic version of this virus, but it's
Hmm.
basically just like a cold virus. Like there's no vaccine for this. Um, so that's what they think happened. And
Yeah.
yeah, so from there, I was in the hospital for 2 months. I had steroids that those didn't help. I
Okay.
had plasmapheresis treatment, and that helped me regain the movement in my legs.
Hmm.
So I was able to work on walking in the hospital. I walked out of the hospital with some help after 2 months. But since then, I've been left with partial paralysis in my arms and hands. So,
Hmm.
like, I'm walking, but I can't move my left hand at all. My right hand's very weak, and I can't lift my shoulders up like higher than about
About
here,
that
like
high. Yeah,
like lower head level. So it's a very unique disability, but that is
definitely.
essentially what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess at the end of that 2 months, were you able to go home and continue rehab then? And what was that
hmm
kind of transition going, from the hospital back home and figuring things out?
Yeah, it was a lot. So when I was in the hospital, I was in the ICU for 12 days. Then I did
Okay.
inpatient rehab for the rest of the time. And then when I was sent home, I did this day rehab program. So it was still through the hospital, um, but it was like a school day
Hmm.
type of program. So I would live at home, and then my parents would take me in the morning at like 9 in the morning. I'd go home at like 3 p.m.
Hmm.
So did therapy all day there for about a month and a half till like the end of July 2010. And then I did like 3 hours of therapy a day outpatient. So I ended up having to take third grade off of school. I did that at home. My actual third grade teacher actually came to my house twice a
Oh,
week and
really?
taught me,
Oh, nice.
which was really great of her. Um, so I did third grade at home so I
Uh-huh.
could focus on doing PT and OT.
So you would have both the PT and OT come over and help you work through.
We initially did it at an outpatient
Oh, I see.
building.
Okay.
Then we like formed relationships with people, and I'm actually still seeing a physical therapist who I met back then when I was
Oh,
8.
okay. So you had
Um,
to had
yeah.
consistent kind of care to work with. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the transition. And
Okay.
it was good for me to get home, and obviously for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons was like I walked out of the hospital with a little bit of help, but then I feel
Hmm.
like I got even better once I got home because like I never was in a wheelchair again. I never used a walker or anything again. Like,
Yeah.
because I wanted, since I was at home, I wanted everything to be more normal, you know?
Well, and at home, I think you do heal, in a very different way. I mean, there's, obviously you're more relaxed and in a familiar environment, and
Yes,
I mean, just
exactly.
just your disposition in general, I think is so much better.
For your mental health, yeah, like,
Yeah,
and that can then
yeah,
help your physical health.
exactly. And that ICU environment too. Like I know
Yes.
any like a single day there, is so stressful to your
Yes.
whole system. So yeah, definitely that. So how has it progressed? Has it kind of stayed the same on kind of your function? Is that like something you're able to maintain at this point?
I feel like I always tell people, like, probably since, like, 2012, so 2
Uh-huh.
years after everything happened, my function has stayed decently the same. Like, I regained a little bit of arm and hand movement in the hospital, but then I feel
Mm.
like some of that got a bit better after that because I was feeding myself at home. Like, when I left the hospital, I still wasn't feeding myself,
Yeah.
which isn't really great that they sent me home that way.
Right.
But I think doing things like that and then learning how to get dressed, things like that
Mhm.
actually helped me get a little bit more function back because I had the muscles there and just needed to
Mhm.
build some of those up. The ones I didn't get back, I didn't have the nerve function to support that. So that's
Yeah.
why those didn't get better. But I feel like probably for about 2 years after, got a bit better in that regard. And everyone thinks like with spinal cord injuries, unless you know somebody or like a personal experience that like you just have paralysis and that's it. But like obviously, as most people in the disability community would know, like it's more than that. So I did develop really, really severe scoliosis that was like really unusual. It was in my neck. And I had to have a spinal fusion for that in 2016. And then, have reduced lung function and things like that. So there's always like things that you're dealing with.
Spectrum of challenges. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always, it's not just one thing for sure that we deal
Yes.
with. It's like a whole host of,
Always something.
challenges. Yeah. So as far as like adapting to, day-to-day activities and like
Mhm.
I know you finished probably high school and I don't know what your like future career plans
Mhm.
are, but like what's kind of been the process like adapting and kind of figuring out, like where you want to go
Mhm.
next kind of after everything.
Yeah, so school was interesting because I did 3rd grade at home
Uh-huh.
and then went back for 4th grade. My mom had to do so much to get me back to school, like, 504 meetings, figuring out accommodations, all of those
Hmm.
things. Um, and I went back to 4th grade with a full-time paraprofessional, like an
Hmm.
aide, um, who helped me,
Okay.
she met me at the entrance to the school when I got there, so my mom would drive me. Um, got to school, she'd meet us there, help with my backpack, help me just with books, like if I needed to cut something for a project, helped me go to
Hmm.
the bathroom, helped me get lunch, all those things. So I had a parapro for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade full time,
Hmm.
which was hard. Like going back to school was hard, and then having an adult
Yeah.
around you all the time was difficult
Well,
too.
that loss of independence, is something.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I loved my parapros and was, actually really good friends, especially with one of them. Um,
Okay.
but I remember, like, being at recess and having them around was, like, not super fun.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's a total
Um,
adjustment for sure.
yes,
Yeah.
especially at that age. So I did that, and then, my brothers went to a private school, and my
Hmm.
mom and my uncle had gone to this school, so my mom really wanted me to be able to go, and it started in 7th grade. It was a 7th through 12th grade school.
Hmm.
And private schools aren't required to do the same things as public schools.
Right.
But we decided since I was 12 years old, like students, and I didn't require like a ton of help at school.
Hmm.
So we felt that like the classmates and friends I made would be helpful at school. So I never had an aide again
Hmm.
in for 7th through 12th grade. And that was challenging in some respect, but like I think it was the right choice. It was good to like,
Yeah. So do you feel
yeah.
like you formed like stronger friendships and everything with classmates that
I
way?
would say in some way, it depends on the friendship. Like I think
Yeah.
a lot of my friends didn't quite like I've talked about this a lot recently because I've realized
Hmm.
a lot of my friends didn't quite like see me as disabled because like I would show up to school, I would be in my uniform, I'd have my hair done, my lunch would be packed, and it almost then when I needed help would sometimes feel a little bit like weird because they
Hmm.
would like not see me that way and I wanted them to see my disability because it was a big
Right.
part of me. Um, so, and of course, there were sometimes challenges like petty little things. Like I would ask friends to help me open chips at lunch, and they would be like, "Well, I'll open it if you let me have a chip."
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Those kind of
silly
comments.
things,
Hmm. Hmm.
which to a lot of people seem like not a big deal at all. But it's like, why should I have to share my food just because I need help opening it?
Exactly. Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
little
Like
things
those
like
extra
that.
requirements that come with, something like eating food.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is yeah, so ridiculous little things like that, which
Yeah.
obviously I was always happy to share with friends, but it was like the weird obligation of it. Like, I'm not going to help you unless you do this type of thing.
Exactly. I mean, those little side comments, they build up, over time, it seems
Yes.
like. Yeah. Yeah.
And would happen a lot too. So I dealt with little things like that. But overall went really well. And
Mhm.
then I did go to college. I went to Davidson near Charlotte, North Carolina,
Mhm.
um, and graduated last year, May 24.
Oh, nice.
Um, and that was a whole thing because
Mhm.
that was going to be like the first time I was going to be living on my own without mom to help me with
Yeah.
things. And um, that there was a lot to figure out. I started looking at colleges in ninth grade because I knew I was going to have to figure tons of things out.
Mhm.
Um, so I toured some schools that I liked, and then I didn't even know about Davidson. We just like went on tours of tons of different schools in North
Mhm.
Carolina, and that was one of them.
Well, that's
Um,
probably fun though to go on a school tour and kind of
it
look
was,
at where it might work. Yeah.
yeah, and North Carolina has a lot of great schools, so
Mhm.
that's kind of why we went there. And then I really loved it, and so I was like, I'm gonna figure out like what I need to do to make this
Mhm.
happen. I was nervous about talking about my disability on my application. Because I talked to someone who used to work in admissions for a college and said that sometimes that would come up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What was it, that
And
particular like college requirements that made you nervous about it, or?
I was worried that they would be like, well, we'll probably have to accommodate this student in a lot of ways. And if there's someone who's
Oh.
equally as good, then we'll just take that student instead.
Uh-huh.
And Davidson was already really selective and hard to get into. So,
Okay, so it's one more barrier to get
yes.
selected. Yeah.
And it's a private school,
Uh-huh.
so less that they had to do. But yeah, so I'd actually been connected with a girl who was a current Davidson student through
Mhm.
like a medical provider we both shared, and she answered a lot of questions for me and made me feel a lot better about like going and meeting with the disability office and all of that.
Mhm.
So before I even applied, I went and met with the disability office just to like see
So
what the
they
vibe
they
was
had
like.
an actual disability program to work with.
Yes, like
Okay.
they were good. Like they had like it was like its own separate office like for
Mhm.
accommodations and everything. But I didn't share too much with them. Like I kept it like at what it needed to be.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and then I decided that I was going to talk about my disability on my application because so many of the activities I'd done related to that, and it was a big part of me. So my essay talked about that,
Mhm.
and I applied early decision because it was easier to ensure you could get in and then earlier. So I did that and then found out that I got in. And then once I got in, I went back to Davidson and I'd actually gotten the disability office director to walk around campus with me and try
Mhm.
out like
Mhm.
all the doors, like meet the dining hall staff because they were so amazing. Like they helped me get food every time I showed up. I
Uh-huh.
didn't even have to ask.
Well, so the
Um,
director of the program actually went with you around campus and
mhm.
looked at accommodations, and wow,
Yeah.
that is that's a new one to me. I'm pretty excited to learn
Yeah.
that actually happens.
Yeah, it was hard at first because I don't think she'd ever done something like that before. So
Yeah.
my and I had the idea because I knew that there would probably be doors I couldn't open. Like I just wanted to be familiar with like I didn't want to show up like for freshman orientation and not know what to expect.
Right. You wanted to have some time to plan and kind of know what it takes for each building
Yes.
maybe, or yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I made the request. I just emailed her and was like, I've gotten in. Is there any way I could come like during my spring break and
Uh-huh.
have you walk around with me, try out doors and locks? And at first her response was that most students usually get an idea of accessibility on their tour.
Uh-huh. Like an orientation tour or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was like, well, I'm not like, I think that would be more true for a wheelchair user who's looking out for hills or
Mm.
things like that. But even still, you can't get a complete picture
Well,
like
I'm
on
just
tour.
thinking like my experience, like I did have, a caregiver to go around and kind of look at, like during the orientation and everything, but I'm thinking
Mhm.
that, that would be available to students right away with disabilities to go have someone look with them like, oh, well, I need this accommodation,
Yes.
or, like to see that maybe I don't know, maybe a push button's in the wrong location, or just
Yes, those types of things.
yeah, yeah, that seems like it should be incorporated into like kind of all
It should.
disability school programs. Yeah.
Like I feel like
Very
they
cool.
should offer that honestly. Like so
Yeah, they
instead like
should.
I asked about it and then I realized she didn't really understand why I needed that. So then I
Mhm.
explained further like no, I need to like check out these things. And then she agreed.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
it was a great experience and she made notes like they switched out like the soap in the dining hall bathroom, like the locks on certain doors.
Hmm.
I met the dining hall staff and then they knew like from day one, first day of class that they would help me.
Well, just the awareness factor, like how
Mhm.
much learning took place for them, to
Right?
like for students that maybe come later even, like now they realize, oh, okay, like we can make this accommodation and
Hmm.
everything. That's
Yeah, I was
that's
almost
really
like
cool.
accessibility consulting.
Yeah, exactly. No, that I think that should be a job actually if it's not
Yeah, I should have
already.
gotten like paid for that.
Exactly. Yeah, that could be your like a certified like consultant for
Right?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. So I mean, that's how that worked. And I submitted my academic accommodations, my housing accommodations. My occupational therapist helped me write up a long list of my accommodations.
Mhm.
They were pretty great overall. I had a lot of luck with them my first year and sophomore year for housing. Junior and senior year, they gave me a lot of trouble about housing accommodations, and I don't know why, but I had to attend a lot of meetings, send
Uh-huh.
a lot of very stern emails to get what I
Wow.
needed.
Well, that seems, I mean, really unnecessary.
Yeah.
Well, what did that just happen all of a sudden that they just all of a sudden weren't really wanting to accommodate it?
I think it's because so the housing there was done by class year. So
Hmm.
I switched housing every year, which is what I wanted to do. So I would be
Hmm.
with people my age. Um, the first and second year, I had different, I think the accommodations I had that worked with the first and second year dorms made it so there was only one option. So like
Hmm.
they were just like, all right, you're going here. Normally they do a lottery for students. So for my junior and senior years, in my opinion, there was only one option that was the best.
Hmm.
But they were like, well, there's these other options that might work,
Others,
which I knew wasn't true because I'd been in the buildings. Like I knew what would and wouldn't work for me.
right.
So,
Which I mean makes sense that you would be more aware like from the
yes.
experience yourself. Yeah.
So they basically made me for junior year still go through the lottery like everyone else, even
Hmm.
though I knew only one type of room would work for me. And I ended up getting that I didn't get that room. I got a different room that it ended up working, but there were definitely issues that I could have avoided if they had listened
Hmm.
to me. Um, and then senior year, there's the seniors have like on-campus apartments, and there's maybe 7 different buildings.
Hmm.
Only 2 of the buildings have laundry. So if you don't live in those buildings, you have to walk to one of them to do laundry.
Hmm.
One of them we knew I couldn't live in because it was really far away, and you had to have 5 people, and I only had 3 other roommates, 4 people. So I was like, all right, so the building I need to live in is the one that has the laundry.
Hmm.
But they were
Exactly. I mean
trying to
that makes
put me in a
sense.
different building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So
it
that was
was
the
like a
thing.
list of things like that that it sounds like you had to kind of fight for, and
Yes.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine all the number of emails and everything that you had to
A lot. And it
provide.
was stressful. Like it went on for like a month at the end of my junior year when I was trying to figure it out for senior year.
And this as well, like classes are like
Classes were still going. Like I
going
was
and
still there. It was like
right.
spring of junior year.
So it's not like you
Yeah.
didn't have, other things to be
Right.
focused on, and then all of that on top of it. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a lot. Yeah. And I ended up meeting with the 504 coordinator
Hmm.
and the president of the school
Hmm.
to ensure that things would work.
Right. Well, I mean, as hard as it is, it's one of those things you still had to kind of fight, to get accommodations throughout the whole process. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of
And
work.
how was graduation like? Like anything specific there that came up with accessibility, or how did that go?
Oh, I've never been asked that. I like that because, you know, as you know, I'm sure big events often have a lot of accessibility
Right.
issues.
Exactly.
I thought to ask about that ahead of time, so I met with the disability office coordinator like at the end of um like winter, like
Hmm.
before second semester
Hmm.
started, senior year. Met with her and I was thinking about things like grabbing my diploma
Right.
um because I wouldn't be able to grab the diploma and shake the person's hand at the same
See,
time.
these are the questions that I always would obsess about.
Yes, like very specific things that no one else will think about
The
that
littlest
people like
details,
us.
right? Yeah.
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 So was curious about that. Also wanted to make sure that I would have an aisle seat because it was a long event and I needed to be able to use the restroom if
Hmm.
needed. So asked about those things. And then I met with the registrar's office. They said that they had had students make requests like that before.
Hmm.
So they just told me that I had a few options that I could choose to grab my diploma, and then do like handshake after and not do it at the same time. I
Hmm.
could choose to just do a handshake and then pick up my diploma afterwards, things
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
So I chose to just not grab the diploma because I was worried I would like drop it or something.
Right. Yeah.
So I did that, worked really easily. They made sure I had an aisle spot, and they actually had a designated person for me during the ceremony who I could
Mhm,
go ask for help if I needed help, like getting to the restroom or if something happened. So
mhm.
they were good about that. But once again, like you have to take the initiative is the thing. Like,
Exactly, right. And
yeah,
they don't come to you and say, "What accommodations do you need?" It's
exactly.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that's ever going to change? Do you feel like that's something universities would embrace at some point?
It totally could and should. I mean, I think something so easy that they could do is just send an email to all the seniors about graduation and have something in there that's like, if you think you need an accommodation or if there's something that we could do to make this event more accessible for you, please reach out to whoever.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
that's so
More
easy.
proactive approach to, and I mean, there's many other emails they send out that maybe might not have necessarily a good reason to be sent in the
Yeah,
first place. Like,
right.
yeah, that could be a simple thing put in. But yeah,
So
I was thinking, back on my graduation with the PhD, like
mhm.
I ended up asking for like a shoulder type pad or something, like as I was driving my chair,
That's
because
smart.
if they reach for the hand and it's on the joystick, then who knows
Yes.
what might happen with injuries. And so that was something
Oh,
that myself and one of my advisors actually we had talked about, and so that
that's
was
smart. Yeah,
really
that's something
good.
they
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought of.
Exactly, yeah, but by like, just like a short conversation beforehand to kind of come up with that
Yeah.
was good. Yeah. So but no, that's the kind of little things, and like you said, dropping the diploma, and
Yes.
even in class, thinking about it, like with my reach, and I think you maybe experienced some of this too, but like actually lifting your hand and arm to grab a handout,
Mhm.
like that's another
Yes.
really simple thing
And it
nobody
can be
would ever
stressful.
worry about. And we're sitting there just like, okay, they're passing around papers. What am I going to do? You
Yes,
know,
I know, and you, like, feel the anxiety in your chest when you know something's, like, about to happen, you're like, "How am I gonna handle it?"
and you're like, you're looking like, who's to my left or right? Like, who's going to be there to maybe help, like
Mhm.
the reach and everything. And it's, yeah.
And raising your hand in class, that's always a thing.
What did you do for that? Because I had that issue a lot.
Yeah, I always hated that because I like to talk, so I, like, wanted to be able to and, like, for participation, you don't want to,
Well, you don't
like
want to stick out like,
yeah,
yeah.
like so it's an important thing a lot of people wouldn't think about, and, like, especially if the professor is grading you on how much you talk or something.
Like a participation type thing.
Like points, things yeah,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that. So what I would do is when I would submit my academic accommodations at the beginning of each semester,
Mhm.
um, I would always just email them to my professors, and then I would always write something very short, like, "I'm sending along my accommodations," and then I would just say, "I appreciate you understanding these." Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, "Let me know if you have questions." I wouldn't ask like, offer that up.
Well, it
Um
was polite, but at the same time, like a little bit assertive too.
Yes, it was,
Yeah.
like, basically kind of like, "These are my accommodations," and, like
Yeah, yeah.
and then I would always add something like, "Additionally, I have limited movement in my arms and can't raise them very high, so if you could please keep an extra eye out for me when raising my hand, I would appreciate it."
Right. Okay. Did you
Yeah.
feel like you needed to sit closer to the front or anything like that?
I usually didn't try to do that because,
Uh-huh.
like, I always was like, "Well, if I know that I'm raising my hand and I'm trying to participate in class and I notice I'm not getting called on," I was not scared to bring that up to the professor
Mm,
because I was like,
hmm.
"I'm not gonna let my grade get hurt
Right. And you
based
shouldn't
on
be
that."
forced to sit in one place either to make it that way.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was not always a front sitter. Like, I would usually like to sit near the door in case I need to go to the
Well,
bathroom and I can
exactly. And
easily
then
get out.
just like have a quick exit to
Yes.
get to that. Yeah. 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 I felt the same way. And then the big lecture halls, I don't know if you had any like, well, I don't know if anything forced you to sit at the front or back, but with my wheelchair
Mhm.
specifically,
You have to,
like,
right?
and I really don't like sitting in the front, that
Yeah,
because
I don't
that's like all eyes on you at that point.
Yes.
But then at the back, you kind of get left out of a lot of the participation too. So it's a
No great spot.
weird dynamic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What were the classrooms like for you? Were they all like smaller or were they like big auditoriums, a balance of both?
Davidson's super small, so
Okay.
it's only undergrad, and it's about 1,900 students now, I would say.
Okay.
So, it was like high school classrooms, like 20 students in a
And I'm
class.
sure did
Yeah.
that play into your decision to kind of choose that school to apply for?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I
It
would think
did.
so. Yeah,
I really wanted a small school.
that's one thing I love too is like as we get closer to graduation with more specialized classes, with
Mhm.
the university I went to, automatically the class sizes were smaller, and everything. And so that made it automatically easier to
Easier for
interact
you,
with
yeah.
students and the professor. Yeah. So it's crazy the whole host of things we have to go through with getting a degree. I mean,
I know, and
beyond the
it's hard.
coursework. Like,
It's a lot, like, it's not just attending school and,
right.
like, everyone's navigating friendship things, like if they're
All the
living at school,
dynamics.
being on their own for the first time, like,
Hmm.
but they're not worried about like how they're going to tie their shoes,
Hmm.
you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a full-time job on its own, really, right? Like the number of
Mhm.
little activity things we have to do too. So
It is,
yeah,
and it's a lot like mentally.
absolutely. What is your approach to actually the whole mental health thing? Like how do you,
Mhm.
look at challenges like that and try to, I guess, come to terms with what's involved?
I feel like I'm thankfully like a naturally positive person. I think that's just
Mhm.
how I am. So things that would be really, really difficult for me usually for some reason don't get to me. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything I do. I don't think there's anything magical about me. I think it's just how I was born.
Kind of like
Um
powering through it, really.
yeah, like it just yeah, I guess it's just how I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that helps. But I did realize my senior year in college that I was dealing with a lot of mental load,
Hmm.
and I kind of realized that I didn't really like confront it until then.
Hmm.
That I think whenever there would be something annoying or like I'd have to like wait on a friend for an hour for help. For example, like I wear a back brace that I'm able to put on by myself, but I can't take it off by myself.
Hmm.
And there would be times I'd want to take a shower at school and no one was around to help me take the brace off.
Yeah.
And I'd be waiting an hour until I could take a shower.
And see, nobody that's able-bodied has to ever worry about that, right? Like
Right.
it's if you want to do it, you can just go like hop in
Just
the
go
shower.
hop in the shower.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
things like that where like I think my brain was always thinking, well, like they're my friend, like they're gonna help me when they can. Like
Right.
I'm glad I have help. But then as I think it really hit me senior year because I was living in an apartment with three roommates.
Hmm.
And that was the first time I'd lived somewhere where I had my own kitchen. And where I lived with roommates junior year too, but it was like a suite style, so I feel like we saw each other a little less.
Mm.
Senior year in the apartment, I was around them a lot and I realized how easy they could do things.
Yeah.
And I would watch them pack their bags, make a big breakfast in the morning, like a nice omelet or something, even
Oh,
with only
nice.
10 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and make their dinner. And I was always like, oh my God. Like, I was like, that is unrelatable.
Hmm.
Um, and so then I kind of realized, like, wow, like, I guess I've actually been dealing with more than I even thought.
Right. I think we do try to internalize and just kind of handle all of these things. And eventually they can build up and overflow a
Yes.
little. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I realized, actually it's okay for me to like be annoyed with the things I'm annoyed with.
Very
Um,
true.
so I try to let myself like just if something bothers me, I let myself like if I feel like crying about it, I let myself do that. And
Yeah.
then I feel better about it. Like I
Yeah.
definitely feel better like acknowledging that there's a lot of parts of being disabled that are really irritating.
Hmm. Do you feel like there's kind of a stigma that people with disabilities shouldn't have those kind of emotions or should just automatically be okay
Yes.
with just like existing almost?
100%. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen this on my social media, but
Hmm.
your question reminded me that what really hit me senior year was a story I've told a lot on social
Yeah.
media because I resonate with people was when I needed help tying one of my tops and I asked a roommate to do it for me and it did not work out.
Yeah.
Um, and I talked about that experience on social media.
Mhm.
And a lot of people will comment stuff like, well, people weren't mad at you for asking for help or for needing help. They're mad at you that you're upset that your friend didn't help you. Like,
Mm.
like how is that reasonable? Like, I've realized I made a video about it recently that people don't want disabled people to express emotions,
Exactly.
which is I don't know why.
It's really strange. I can't explain,
Yeah.
although I can't explain a lot of the stigma and assumptions that happen with ableism either.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean yeah, I guess it's good we don't understand it because it shows we're not participating in it
Just
is what
not
I tell
programmed that
myself.
way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting because like it's like the people leaving those comments about, well, people weren't mad at you for asking for help or needing help. They were mad at you for being upset. You were told no. It's like,
Right.
well, that's not
Mad
good either.
because you were bothered about something. Yeah.
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 Like I think it's interesting that that upsets people that like I guess it just kind of comes back to like individualistic culture
True.
is maybe where it stems from. Um, but I mean, I think anybody is allowed to be upset by something somebody does to them, and like as long as you handle that in an appropriate way, like
Right.
that's
It's
fine.
just so strange because nobody else looks at anything anybody else is doing as, well, you shouldn't
Mhm.
react that way. You shouldn't have
Yep.
feelings other than, like being happy or something. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, I think as much as many of us do find silver linings and find the positive, a lot of there's still times where we can be bothered or annoyed or sad about things that we have to deal with. And like other people have issues going on in their lives that it's okay for them to share
They're
about, right?
allowed
And
to.
like the whole mental health thing that's kind of exploded, I don't know, in the last
Yes.
5, 10 years. It's like, well, everybody gets celebrated for sharing their mental health journey, but then when disabled people do, it's like, oh no, you shouldn't be
Oh,
doing
nope.
that.
Not
Yeah,
allowed. That's
yeah,
so true. Like
yeah,
someone said it so well in one of my comment sections. I think I pinned it, but I
yeah,
forget what video it's on, but they said something about like you basically are forced to be like a robot when you're disabled. Like can't
right?
show any emotion. You have to be perfectly okay with how everything is. Like
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
you're
if you're not,
expected
you're
to be
like
like,
ungrateful or
yes, you're ungrateful. You have to be like extra thankful
yeah,
for anything you receive.
very gracious for yeah,
Yes.
like you should just be so happy you can eat or drink or breathe or
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, oh, it's so frustrating. Like, yeah, I don't understand that, but I guess it does come back to individualism and
true.
um I think people viewing helping a disabled person or doing something for a disabled person is different than doing it for a non-disabled person,
It's true. Very
which
true.
is it's really not that different.
No, it's not. It's not. And I don't know. I don't know if it's kind of ingrained in the culture too in a lot of ways. I feel like that, just anybody that's different is, there's expectations or judgment that's kind of, put on them. And
Mhm.
so it's a constant battle.
Yep,
How
always.
about your like advocacy, social media, like endeavors, like into that whole bringing awareness and, sharing knowledge of disability and everything? Like how did that kind of come about? Where are you going with that now?
Yeah, it's funny. I guess I've always been open about my disability with
Yeah.
friends, family. And I started on social media way too young.
Mm,
Like I'm the youngest of three siblings.
okay.
Um, and so anything that my brothers did, I got to do younger.
Hmm.
And I remember when my brother made a Facebook account for me, I was like 10,
Oh
like
wow, that's
way too
very
young.
early. Yeah.
And then I was on Instagram in fourth grade, like so young, but
Okay.
it was just friends at that point. And that was in like 2012. So
Okay.
it was a new thing. And then in maybe like 2016 and 17, I feel like I gained a good amount of followers because I had done like a few articles like sharing my story like in
Hmm.
magazines or whatever. So I had
Hmm.
like 3,000 followers or so and always posted about disability if I felt like I wanted to.
Hmm.
But then mostly where I say like I really started intentionally doing it was March 2020 during COVID.
Right.
Um, I had just downloaded TikTok.
Hmm.
And people in my high school, I was a senior in high school at that time, people were just now kind of talking about TikTok. I downloaded it. There was this trend where you would like hold both of your hands up and do like put a finger down if, and then you tell some really specific story.
One of those random
Yeah.
like viral TikTok like
Yeah.
trends that was going. Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that trend. Obviously, I just held up one hand and then put my finger down. So I told my disability story
Hmm.
and it got a lot of views and I was getting a lot of questions. So I posted videos like answering people's questions and just showing more about my life. And then since I was applying to college at that point, well, I'd gotten into Davidson at that point. So I was just like
Okay.
figuring out Davidson, all those things. I was posting a lot about college.
And COVID was happening during all
Yes.
of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that
What a
was another thing.
backdrop. Yeah.
I had a lot of time on my hands too because of COVID.
True.
So
Yeah.
that helped. And I just posted like my dorm room accommodations and things like that. And then I guess I sort of became known for posting about college and disability. Like that was
Okay.
sort of like my niche.
Hmm.
Um, and kept doing that and just enjoyed it. Like did it on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok,
Hmm.
and that's stuck. And so that's how that happened, but it was not intentional. It just
Just
was it.
organically kind of like
Yeah.
grew from there. Yeah, and you're right. I
Yeah.
mean, starting at a young age probably contributed too to some of that. And
Yeah,
because I
probably.
don't think I had social media till junior, senior in high school, at least.
That's good.
So yeah, oh
I
no,
was
I
on way
totally
too
agree.
young.
I totally agree. Seeing like these like 7-year-old kids on TikTok now, I'm just
I
like,
know. I
oh
see that too.
man.
I see like 12-year-olds on my TikTok, they'll leave comments and they're usually like super sweet. Like it's
Yeah,
cute.
yeah.
But I'm like, "Oh, but at least when I had it when I was little, I think it was a little safer because I had a private account and TikTok
Well, and you
wasn't
had your siblings too, kind of like,
they were on
kind of
there,
helping you through. Yeah, yeah. So I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that was before it went kind of crazy. Now these days I'm just
Yes.
like,
It's worse now, way
I feel
worse.
like kids should not even touch it until,
It's
I mean,
dangerous.
maybe till high school at least, and even then I'm not sure. But it's just like it's such a part of the culture now,
I
and
know.
it, it's
I
it's
really
concerning.
am sad about it. It's funny sometimes, like when I'm somewhere, like sometimes people know me from TikTok or whatever,
Yeah.
and there'll be like a ninth grader, or like one time there was like a 10-year-old girl in the
Hmm.
airport. And I'm like, this is so cool, like that you watch my stuff, but you're so
True.
young.
I know. It's like go outside, like get
Yes.
some life experience before you get back on the. And I mean,
Right.
it's a trade-off, right? Like social media is such a good place, I think, for people with
Yeah.
disabilities to go on and share and meet people and everything. But at the
Yeah.
same
Meet
time,
cool people.
yeah, there's still like a balance there, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
So what's one of the, I guess, weirdest questions maybe that you've posted a video on or something over the years that someone asked? I'm sure there's probably several, but is there
I
one that
love
comes
that
to
question.
mind?
Hmm. I mean, people ask really odd things. I used to be more open about answering almost like any question I got
Yeah.
because I was all
I
like,
mean, some people get pretty invasive too, but yeah.
yeah, they can be,
Yeah.
which like I do think if I were a wheelchair user, I'd probably get even worse questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think in some ways, like I say my disability is visible because to me it is, I feel like it is, but
Right.
not everyone notices it. And I think that helps me sometimes with rude encounters,
Hmm.
which I'm thankful for. But I mean, I get so many weird questions. The weirdest one lately that I've addressed is like, can you amputate your hand?
What?
Or like, why don't you just amputate your hand? I get that all the
Whoa.
time.
Wow, that's extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I guess I could see even me as a wheelchair user, like someone could look at the legs and be like, why do you even
Why
need
don't you just
those
take them off?
things? Yeah, no, like I wish I could just detach them and, like you're not using it anyway.
I what's
Wow,
interesting is
that's
so I don't know, I guess you haven't been asked that, have you?
I haven't, but to be honest, I'm early enough. Like I only
Yeah.
really started doing advocacy stuff a couple years ago. So
Okay.
I feel like I'm a little bit protected and I'm always waiting to see like when are
Yeah,
those going to start popping up. But yeah,
it
yeah.
could. Because I mean, sometimes people like so when I talk about how ridiculous this question is, some of the comments will be like, would people ask like a paraplegic that? And I wonder
Wow.
the same. I'm like, why do people ask me? But yeah, I've gotten
Yeah.
that question a lot. I think people, they probably are thinking like a prosthetic would be more useful than my
Mm,
hand, but they don't
okay.
understand that like for most of those devices, you need some function in the arm for the prosthetic
Hmm.
hand to work.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't have that. So if
Right.
I like, for one thing, no doctor would do that to me anyway.
No,
But
that's extreme though. I mean, like you're like, well, wait, have you thought about taking off your own hand? What that would feel like? Like,
right.
I mean, wow.
I
Yeah,
hope that
that's
it's mostly younger kids asking that question.
curiosity and just learning. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's would make sense, kind of that more innocent question. But
I
yeah,
hope. That's my
yeah,
hope.
but someone older
That's a weird
asking
one
that,
though.
it's
I
like,
get that one a lot.
yeah,
I also people ask me how I shave. I'm like, why?
seriously.
I get that. What else do I get? I get like, can you feel your hand? Like, what does your
Oh,
hand feel like? That's a common one. Which
uh-huh.
it's not really a weird question. It's just kind of like as I've gotten older, I've realized, sure, there is value in educating on certain things like that,
Hmm.
but I'm one person with a spinal cord injury. So it's
Right.
like, why do they really need to know if I can feel my hand or not?
Well, it's like it's not, a kind of one size fits all type of answer, right? Like
Right.
it's all of us have our own kind of adaptive process to doing things. And you're right, like does it help the community to learn the details or
Yeah.
not? Those are questions you have to consider, I think.
Like it could, but like I guess it could be useful for them to know that paralysis doesn't automatically mean no feeling.
True.
However, if I say I can feel, then they might assume things about other people.
Right, exactly. So you
Yeah.
don't want to feed the assumptions
Right.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. But no, those are some extreme ones, especially the amputation thing. That's just like,
I know,
wow.
isn't that ridiculous?
That's mind blowing to me. But then
Right?
I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be surprised anymore. But
I know, right? There's always going to be some shocking one.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, well, do you just like sit there and try to think of these kind of questions to ask people or what? I don't know.
Who
That's
knows?
yeah, yeah. Well, there's probably some too. I mean, that they are probably just like block a
Oh yeah,
person. I mean,
definitely. If
there's
there's anything weird, I love blocking people. Like I think
that's a
it's
good
so
quote.
frustrating. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people will be like they will call out influencers for deleting comments or blocking people, and I'm like, no,
Oh
this is
yeah.
supposed to be fun.
Right.
Like if you're saying something ridiculous, like I block people if they're being mean, ridiculous, mean to other people in my
Hmm.
comments. if I see that, or if they're just being like willfully ignorant, or if I can tell that they didn't even attempt to watch my entire video,
Right, right.
then I
I
block
mean,
them.
there's some that are so off base and, like, yeah, it's so detailed and private. Like, it's just
Yes.
stop with these questions. Yeah, but
I love blocking. I
yeah,
try not to reply to people. I try to block.
true.
Sometimes I'll reply something, but then I'm like, it's usually not worth it.
Well, I was gonna say, do you ever feel like that's kind of like, I don't know, not therapeutic, but like you can kind of vent or kind of like have that frustration, taken out where you
Yeah.
do respond and you're like, why would you? I mean, yeah, I don't know, like challenging them.
Yeah, most of the time when I respond, I regret it.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say, because the person will respond with something even meaner. I've gotten
True.
mean emails.
Mm.
Like, yeah, so it's usually not worth it.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's probably true. Like it's,
Yeah.
usually leads down a bad road. And I try not to respond very often,
Yeah,
but
it's hard, but like
occasionally it's like,
gotta pause.
ooh, I kind of want to say something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about AI? Is there anything that affects you with that? Like what's your, I don't know, like thoughts on people with disabilities using AI to do anything with content, anything like that?
I don't really use AI.
Okay.
I honestly like didn't even really know what it was or how to use it until like the end of my senior year of college because
Mm-hmm.
one of my friends was a computer science major and was taking an AI class and she like showed me some things and
Mm-hmm.
but I use Google for questions. I don't use
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
I have used it like because I've seen people on TikTok say that you can be like, give me some video ideas. So I've done that to see what it would say,
Right.
but I don't find myself actually really utilizing
Using
what
it
it tells me.
much.
Like, so I personally don't use it for my content
Mm-hmm.
at all, but and I know it's really bad for the environment. That's another thing
Yeah,
that
and that's
yeah.
that's something I with any new technology, I know there's always kind of that back and forth, and
Yes.
yeah, so it is obviously something to consider, but also it's like adding to our abilities to generate, I
It can
mean,
be
like
helpful.
even with creative original ideas, it can help us really elaborate and expand those and like I don't know, and like hashtags and like
Yes.
all those kinds of and like adding more details for me is,
Yeah, it can be
typing
helpful.
has always been slow for me. Progressively worse, and so like anything to help kind of, as long as it's not just like completely letting it do
Do
everything.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, there's a balance there for sure, but
Yeah, I'm glad you
yeah,
said that because yeah, like I personally don't use it in my content, but I mean, and this doesn't just go for AI, but I don't judge people for what products they buy,
mm,
places they shop, or things they use because I never know someone's situation.
exactly.
So, like, I saw a video the other week where someone was like, if you use AI, I'm judging you. And I was like, I get that like it's bad for the environment and there are ethical concerns with it and privacy concerns, but a
Right.
lot of those things can also be said about other things that people don't get
Well,
judged
like the
for.
internet too, like when the
Yeah.
internet first came out, or like when
Yeah.
vehicles, I mean, that like there's so many things I think humans have developed and used that hurt the environment too. And it's,
Yes.
it's not to
Yep.
say that we want to necessarily. It's just, yeah, but that judgment thing that you're saying there's like it applies to so much, I think,
So
like
much.
nobody
Yeah.
knows what someone else is dealing with or has going on. So how can you say or
That's why I
judge?
never judge. I
Exactly.
really don't care. Like for me, I buy products or use tools or services from places like if I feel that those benefit me. Like
Mhm.
I'm not really paying attention to anything else. Like,
Right, right. And I mean,
yeah.
like functioning with day-to-day activities, is kind of, I mean, that's a huge deal for so many of us in the disabled
Yes.
community. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
makes
it can be
sense.
really helpful. And on that video I saw a disabled person comment something like AI actually can be really helpful for a lot of disabled people. So
True.
shouldn't really be judging. So I was glad someone pointed that out. Um, and there's an issue with disabled people getting judged more than other people for using certain tools, like
Mm.
straws.
Plastic, right?
Yeah.
Adding to, yeah. But like the waste that's generated in all the other places, that's not brought up, and
Right.
and I
Never.
agree. Like when Starbucks, for example, was pushing to get rid of straws there for a while to go to the paper straws, it was like, well, I used the plastic straw with the
Yes.
certain length and it works, and the paper ones disintegrate or
Yeah, they're not good.
I mean, there's just so many things that, but then you're right with if you use it and you have a disability, all of a sudden it's a major issue.
Which is so weird because you would think people would be harder on the people who don't need to use them.
You would think,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's one of those backwards things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so many directions we could go.
I know.
But no, I definitely, appreciate the time, Sarah Todd. And like,
This
is there
was such a
anything you
great
wanted
conversation.
to add to kind of share at the end, or how people can kind of get in touch and yeah, so your content, see
Yeah.
what you're up to.
Yeah, I try to post daily on
Yeah.
my social channels, which is a lot. Doesn't always happen, but I'm the same handle on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, which is at Sarah Todd Hammer, Sarah with an H at the end.
Hmm.
Um, and my website, sarahtoddhammer.com. So I'm really just trying to focus on content creation, speaking engagements,
Hmm.
consulting. Been doing a lot of that and have some personal goals I'm working on. I'm hoping in the next few months we'll be able
Yeah.
to share.